Welcome to another episode of Threads of Enlightenment. As usual, guys, you understand and know why I do this because I know that our guest has come with beautiful things that I deem very expensive, two at least. And I want to stop and acknowledge them. Time. It is one of the most precious commodity given to every single human being on this planet. And we all have equal amount of it. What we do with that 24 hours is something else. And so the other is the journey. And Romana comes with her journey to trust us with this information, the pain, the wisdom, all that she was that made her all that she is today. And so we are honored and we want to thank you for coming to Threads of Enlightenment.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor being on that show. Thank you.
I am so excited to have this conversation. Tell the folks, and I've been telling them about servanthood. Talk to them about how do you serve mankind?
I am a writer and a writing trainer, and my biggest passion is to support authors or people who want to become authors to overcome those struggles before getting started. So when I started my first book, I had those challenges as well, those self-doubts. This will anybody want to read my book? That's the main question most people ask. That's where they stop writing. So they start with a hard project and then stop it because they are so scared. And that's where I come in with my courses. I support them getting a writer's mindset, trusting in themselves, trusting in their idea and vision, and write it down and then redo it and rework it. And on some day, that's a book which is born. And this is the moment where I get back all the energy I put in, because that's always, it's so touching when a student then presents their book, the first book. So this is a real passion of mine. But next to that, I'm doing happiness mindset courses as well, and in-person events for people who are on a point in their life where they struggle, for which reason ever. I have many clients who are looking for their soul partner, for example, and they don't know where to find him or her. And I try to support them to be strong and trust into destiny, trust into hard stuff, trust into themselves. And then I walk a little way with them on their path. So this is another sector where I serve people, and I love to do that. I am not only a writer and writing trainer, but also an astrologer and coach. So I support people with the knowledge of astrology, which is not tomorrow something will happen.
Mhm.
That's not astrology, right? So if in my astrology, I try to help people to find out what their soul wanted when it got here in that person. Yeah. What's the plan? And why is it so hard to follow that plan? And I, of course, myself had those experiences. So sometimes I thought, oh, life, what are you doing to me? But looking back, I realized that life always wanted to push me into the right direction with sometimes not very easy pushes, but I was resistant, so it had to be like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I mentioned before, I think we call those situations in, Roman, because it is designed to motivate us because we know what it takes to motivate us, and so we call these situations in that is designed to push us, because inside of in our quiet time when we're thinking and meditating on our thoughts, we know there must be more, or I want to know more, and those type of comments that we make, not realizing that it is a part of our life that we are creating by those moments as we are saying those things, because situation usually it comes to take us there so that we can explore, as they say. So, yeah. So here we are. One of our customs here at Threads of Enlightenment is to go back. We want to visit one of the very first location by which we get a chance to reside for a period of time. And that is called our home, family, where mom and dad resides. I call them scientists that are about to experiment on some thesis that they've developed in their life. And so they're not sure about all the stuff, but they're going to find out. So they begin to input things into us, data, if you will. So introduce us to your family as they are introducing you to data.
Oh, I grew up with my grandma the first 4 years of my life, and
Hmm.
I'm very, very grateful for this. My parents were very young when I was born, and they, of course, had their plan for their life and for their kids. Plan they wanted, of course, to become the kids happy persons, but as they were so young, they didn't realize that their plan wasn't my plan. So this was kind of not that easy. With spending the first
Yeah.
4 years of my life with my grandma, I really got to know how it is to be open-minded and big-hearted. So grandma always
Mm.
supported me with which crazy ideas I ever had. I mean, between 0 and 4, you don't have that many ideas. But for example, I didn't want to eat meat.
Yeah.
I really hated it. Wow. And
Hmm.
grandma just allowed it. So I didn't have to do it there, which then
Wow.
gave me the idea, okay, it's possible to survive, right? My parents always told me you're going to die. If you don't
Yeah.
eat meat, you're going to die. And
Mm.
so I had to do that back home. When I moved out at the age of 18, I stopped instantly. So I'm a vegetarian now for 37 years. And this
Wow.
is,
Congratulations.
yeah, and I'm so glad I don't have to eat it any longer. And grandma gave me that trust that something like that is okay. And so
Yeah.
in this family situation with grandma, it always was okay. I told her like I wanted to go to school. So in Austria, you have to make a decision at the age of 15. You go to school or you start to work, right? You make
Hmm.
the decision there. I wanted to go to school,
Wow.
and my parents thought that's not necessary because these were the 70s and they thought that I get
Wow.
married anyways. So there was a large discussion, and grandma was on my side, and she always was my whole life.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I got the trust I have and the strength to follow my way. I got it from her. And I I tried
Oh.
not to listen to the other stuff, that conservative stuff, right? So uh, telling you have
Yeah.
to marry middle in the middle 20s or something like that. Otherwise, it's yeah, what are you here for? And I thought, but I'm here for a reason, but not for the
Yeah.
reason to marry. So what is the reason? What is it? And I
Yeah.
thought of what can be my intellectual kids, as I don't have kids. So what are my kids then? What do I leave
Yeah.
here on that planet? And it took me a while to find out. Um, um, and I think that
Yes.
many people who follow that path, the enlightening path, um, they realize that on some points in your life you drop off, and then you have to come back and
Hmm.
like start all over again, and
Yeah.
it's good and normal, and that's fine. And what happened to me, of course, as well. I During my studies in the early 20s, I was like, yeah, that purpose, what am I gonna do that life? And then I got a wonderful job working
Hmm.
for a large TV company, and I love that job, but it's a very like on the surface job, right? you do your work, you get your money, and then you
Yeah.
spend your money, and that's your life. And in these days, I was very happy with that lifestyle. I loved it. And my main
Yeah.
purpose was skydiving. I started skydiving at the age of 30, and I
Hmm.
thought I will do that until I'm 85. But I had a real severe accident in skydiving then, and that brought me back to the path of enlightenment.
Wow.
Um, I was really very, very
Hmm.
lucky, and the doctor said, yeah, there were like the doctor who like picked me up told me there must have been 57 angels like taking care of you, otherwise you would be dead. And that made me think,
Wow.
oh, okay. So,
Wow.
yeah, I was, I had broken my spine, and I was in severe
Whoa.
pain for over a year, and I'm completely back. I don't have pain any longer.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that, but that brought me back to that path. So what am I here for? That is something I can give the world. What is it? So the searching started again. And I think
That's
that
a
is
powerful.
powerful.
That's
And
a powerful question, though.
yeah, it
When did
is.
you pick that question up, uh, uh, Romana? When did you pick that up? That question where you started asking yourself that. How old were you when you were saying, "What is my purpose?"
That started in the early 20s, but then I dropped the topic because I couldn't find out. And then it came back
Hmm.
after that skydiving accident. So that was
Yeah.
at the age of 34. So I then
Hmm.
still had a few more years to go until I had again an accident with paragliding this time. And so sometimes I think the air doesn't
Yeah.
want me. So, um,
Well, you still have those 57 angels, so you know. So
and so after
you're
that
doing good.
accident, I went to an astrologer. And first of all, I have to admit that
Hmm.
was 12, 13 years ago. I didn't think that this method ever could help me. I thought people who are doing that are completely
Yeah.
insane. And I went to a
Yeah.
psychotherapist to ask her what's happening with me. I'm having accidents again and again. Like what's and
Hmm.
this lady was so funny. She said, "Why don't you ask an astrologer?" And I thought, "Are you crazy?" So, but
Yeah. Wow.
nevertheless, I did it, and the insights that lady gave me were so huge that I instantly booked a
Mm.
course that was an academy for 3 years. So many hours of
Yeah.
getting taught all the methods and astrological content. And then I started
Yeah.
my own business, and I realized how
Wow.
powerful the method is. I think if you support people finding their way or their purpose or their happiness, um, it doesn't matter which method you pick. So because there are so many different people out there, and
Yeah.
some would like your method and some will pick another
Hmm.
one. And that was a real good decision. So I found out I'm here to support people to like take life at the bullhorns, right? And take life and live it. Go for it. Don't don't hesitate. Go for it.
Yeah.
And that's my whole character. So when people see me when I'm a
Yeah.
speaker too, when I'm speaking, so they come up to me and ask me where do you take that energy from? So and I can tell them then that everyone has that energy. It doesn't look the same like it looks at me, right? It's
Yes.
different for every person, but you have it.
Yeah.
You just have to find out where it's resting. and then grab it
Mm-hmm.
and go, right?
And
And
tap
live that
into it.
life and in happiness. Mm, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. But I want to go back a little because you said that the first accident, some incredible things happened to you. You broke your back and much pain and all of those things. And to come out of that space, Ramon, one has to bring some tools into their lives in order to offset all of those thoughts of why, those dark thoughts that you are dealing with all day long. And when all the visitors are gone and so forth. And you have to find a way to bring yourself out from laying there with a broken back and the
Mm,
depression and all this different stuff that you had to deal with and go through. How did you propel yourself from laying on your back with damaged back and emotionally dealing with all the traumas that you are experiencing while you're laying there? And what tools, Romana, did you started to bring into your life
mm,
to help you to move from the bed to standing to walking?
mm. Um, First of all, I realized that I'm a very energetic person. I always was. And I realized that I need
Hmm.
peace and rest like everybody else. So that's one of the main
Yeah.
gold nuggets I got, that sometimes it's necessary, and not only necessary, but it's okay to say, stop, please, leave me alone. I need my time now. I need
Hmm.
rest. I need peace. I need um,
Yeah.
a space where I can be without people talking and whatever. I always thought I need that. So that was the main, yeah, I call it gold nugget, to realize, no, I don't need that constant boom, 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 right? I need rest. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
what happened very early, still being in hospital, was that it came up, I could have been dead. So every day from now on is a
Yeah.
present. I started telling people I'm living
Yeah.
overtime. So it could have been over, and now every day is a present. So then what happened, of course, is that sounds pretty spiritual, right? Friends started to
Yeah.
turn away. Because they were used that Romana, which was living on the surface. So they didn't like the deep
Yeah. Yeah.
thoughts. Um, so I lost many friends. Even my
Hmm.
partnership, my relationship broke. I first of all
No.
tended to think of what have I done wrong. It was my fault, all that stuff.
Hmm.
But pretty early, I realized that's not my fault. I mean, I had an accident, and as a skydiver, you know
Yeah.
that there are no bad sky gods. It's a pilot's mistake. If you have a mistake, an
Yeah.
accident, it's your mistake. So be honest with that. That
Yeah.
like that broke, one piece of my crown. So, but I realized how
Wow.
necessary it is to stand up and say that was my
Yeah.
mistake if it is like that. And on the other hand, to say, but
Yeah.
it's not my fault that my relationship broke just because I changed. And
Hmm.
this is a strength
Yeah.
I got from, first of all, just sitting there and thinking. And the upcoming years, I then got more and more like occupied with the idea to have times of rest. And so I signed into a monastery for 10 days of
Yeah.
not talking. And I did that
Yeah.
every year, 10 days in the monastery, and just meditating and being in silence.
Mm.
And this gave me those enormous insights. And I don't say that it was
Yeah.
always easy. There were a lot of tears and a lot of laughter as well, a lot of
Yeah.
realizing their own pain. I think that when people realize their traumas, realize their pain, then it's time to cry, let it out, cry, and then come back and get your
Yes.
strength. Yeah. So that's where I'm
Yeah.
mainly got
Trauma
it.
is, yeah, trauma, I tell people, Romana, trauma is stored in our emotions. That's where it resides. And most of us don't want to face it. We'll stay busy working, number one, or we will numb ourselves with drugs and of many types. We will also, number three, um, just keep this busyness. You know, we're so busy we get nowhere, and all of that is designed not to have that conversation with the self, because we don't want to deal with that pain, that emotional pain that resides there. Trauma is a emotional pain. Whatever physical trauma you had, it converted the soul. How we are designed is that it is formed into a emotional stamp, which we now own that trauma, and we deposit that thing into our heart, and it becomes us. And we live that way for many years until an accident. Like you said, something happens to cause us. And meditation is one of the most powerful tools, and I've said this a million times, known to mankind. It's free. I tell people it's free. You just need to understand the purpose of meditation, because you are a meditative being. The purpose for meditation is to sit and to quiet the thought and to begin to choose your thoughts. It slows down, disconnect you from all of the madness. And that breath that I keep telling people, when one begins to meditate, that breath is the bridge by which it'll escort you into the spiritual realm. And one must get there. And when you begin to practice it, I have to do that. I need to go. I did that once when I was in Chiang Mai. I went into the temple, and the energy there, that is, it's amazing. Sitting there with those monks and doing that, so I understand the power, but also internally, individually, you take it with you, and you will change your life. So here you are. You are meditating. You're bringing all these tools in. You look back and you remember this woman that was in the bed with a broken back, and then you went in and got yourself another accident. That's just beautiful. And here you are in this other accident, and you're now learning, and the quietness you're familiar with. In that space of your your quietness and seeing who you are, you mentioned that you started discovering things. Romana, what were those things, those emotions, those trauma, some of those that you began to discover
Hmm.
as a grown woman, that took place as a young girl, and how did you deal with them?
Um, Mostly that we, as you said, pick up stuff which our parents leave inside us, right? With all the what you have to do,
Yeah,
what we call
those
normal. You
data. Uh-huh.
should be normal place. So that I
Yeah,
never, when I was younger, I didn't realize how much that influenced me. Um, I was never
yeah,
normal. As I said, I studied. I then got a job. I didn't marry. Um, so that was so unnormal that I didn't realize my soul just kept that thought. You are not normal.
Yeah.
And this doesn't feel very nice because it makes you feel you
Yeah.
have to do twice the effort everybody else does to be seen or loved because you are not normal, right?
Yeah.
And now looking back,
Mhm.
I'm 55 now, and now I see a lot of pain in that young woman in her 20s, in her 30s, being so busy and trying to be loved with doing stuff. And that's something I now
Yeah.
realize. But every person has their time when they realize, right? So mine came in the 50s to
Yes.
realize it's so important to love yourself. Don't call yourself crazy or not normal.
Yes.
You are who you are, and you are wonderful. And
Yeah.
this you have to tell yourself again and again and again, because your parents and then you yourself told yourself the other stuff for quite a few years. So what I
Hmm.
now do, for
Yes.
example, to remember myself or remind myself on a daily basis, when I get up in the morning, I go into the bathroom like most people do, and then I high five myself in the mirror and say, "You are awesome. You are wonderful. You're so beautiful.
That's
Look at
beautiful.
yourself, how wonderful you are." And then I brush my teeth, right? I do that. That's the very first thing I do. And and of course, still there are
That's
dark
beautiful.
moments, right, in every person's life. And
Oh
as we
yeah.
all know now,
Yeah.
the energies out there are very tight at the moment, sometimes getting hard. Um, and the more important it is
Hmm.
to tell yourself how freaking wonderful you are. And that's what I pick from
Yeah.
all those years of not knowing or not believing. And I think that the miracle is, if you do not believe it yourself, you're always looking for people who tell you constantly how wonderful you are. And
Yes.
then
Hmm.
sometimes you meet not
Yeah.
nice people who just say it because they see
Yes.
your need. Especially for young women, that's a
Hmm.
real tricky one, right?
Yep.
So that's
Yeah.
what I see when looking back, and that's what I now tell people, young women, old women, women my age, telling them, please start with that. Start with baby steps. Start with tell yourself how wonderful you are in the morning. And then you can do more and more. And then you can start meditating and like make your thoughts easier, lighter. Don't keep them. Let them go. Let those
Yeah.
thoughts go. That's what meditation is all about. Like looking at your thoughts like they are clouds and
Hmm.
ooh, off they go. And here comes the next one.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to do the very same thing as well. I would. Um, I suffered with a lot of guilt and shame, and I remember when I would deal with that, when I began to deal with it, and I would look at myself as I was walking by, and I'd stop and say, "I'm proud of you. You are a fighter. Keep moving. I'm proud of you." I used to say that in the morning. I used to kiss my hands and say, "I even love my color. I love how beautiful it is." And I would talk to myself, and people, all my friends, thought I was absolutely a nut. But I knew what I was doing, and it helped me to understand me and to love me and to accept me because of some of the things that I did as a young man, and you know all those different things that we do, and so it was medicine for me, and it helped me to grow up. So here you are, learned so much. You are now, because you are a writer, but you're also a traveler. When did you begin? When you became that traveler, if you will? How old were you? Were you in your 20s when you started, or was it much later?
I always loved traveling. So when I was in my 20s, I traveled the
Hmm.
world. I started traveling the world. I've been to the States for 8 times and to Africa and Asia and everywhere. Um, but what I'm doing now, what I call long-term traveling, is I have that van, an old Volkswagen van built in 1985,
Hmm.
which is really old. She's older than her mechanic. And this car I bought in 2009, and I was still working for the TV production company then. And I started
Hmm.
traveling with my boyfriend then, and I always told him when we had to come back from
Hmm.
our holiday, I told him, "Oh, I wish that there one day I just I can stay and travel and come back when I want and not when the time is over." And I
Yeah.
think that was
Yeah.
a wish I sent to the universe. The universe answered very
Hmm.
quickly. So I got fired in 2012. I lost my job and
Yeah.
I was devastated. I was devastated because still, yeah, I love to
Yeah.
be kind of normal, working on a normal basis and whatever. So I then
Yeah. Yeah.
built my own company. I had that astrological coaching already, but I started my
Hmm.
company as a
Yeah.
writer and texter. And the first 2 years were real awful. I didn't have any clients, no students, no money at
Yeah.
all. And I forgot about the traveling idea. I was like occupied with my fear.
Yeah.
And then the car was
Yeah.
in a bad status. I had to do some over 100 hours in the garage, so I couldn't afford that. And the mechanic there told me,
Wow.
"You are a web designer?" I said, yeah, I can do web design as well. So I did a website for him, and he repaired my car.
Yeah.
And after that, we had fixed her. I thought, and now I go.
Yeah.
I remembered the idea. I
Yeah.
thought there was that idea. I wanted to travel and come back when I want. And that was in August
Yeah.
2015. I had written my first book already and published. I
Wow.
had a publishing contract with a publisher in Austria. And then I told myself it's now or never. And let's see, how old was I? I was 47. Yeah, 47. So I had no
Wow.
relationship then. Again, that was broken. So I was single. I got into that car and started
Yeah.
my traveling. I traveled to France and Spain and then back to Italy, and weeks went by. And after about, I guess, 11
Yeah.
weeks, I was down in Sicily. I woke up one morning, I thought, and now I want to go home. And that's what I did. And this traveling spirit that
Yeah.
infected me. So I from 2015 on, I've been doing it that way. I get into my old van and start. I never make any
Yeah.
plans. I just ride, go, and then when I have enough, I come back. So, and the most beautiful
That is
book
a beautiful
ideas,
life. I understand
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The
I
most
understand
beautiful
that as you're
ideas
talking
come
about
up,
because
and
mine is similar, but not.
yeah.
How, talk to me about your first book. What was the subject and how did it come about?
The first book was a garden book, and that's what I got taught from my grandma. My
Hmm.
grandma told me everything about gardening. So she lived from her garden. She had all the vegetables and plants there you would need to survive. And I was in that situation, having no job and no money. And and being devastated. I had coffee with my aunt one day, I remember, and she said, "Now that you have time, you are a time millionaire, right? You can write a book. You can write a book." And I thought, oh, maybe that helps. So I said, which topic?
Yeah.
And then we thought of creative ideas. And we came up with the idea of gardening for people like me, having no job, no money, no garden, and no nothing. And
Yeah.
I wrote a book about gardening in shopping bags. And I tried it
Wow.
myself a whole summer, and I planted everything in there. Salad,
Wow.
pumpkins, everything. And I
Hmm.
sent the concept and the first chapter to a publisher in Austria, and
Yeah.
they instantly put me on the contract. They wanted to have that book, and they wanted to have me, which is a real 100%
Beautiful.
luck situation for a new author. Yeah.
Oh, that is absolutely a beautiful story. To begin to plant in plastic, I mean, paper bags. That's just brilliant. I think, it's unheard of, and I'm sure it works well. So here you are, you've got your books, and I love your concept because that is the life that I am designing. One that I can go traveling. I found a place that I can call home, and I will be able to, afford where I can pay a year ahead of my rent and so forth, and go when I pick a place I wanted to at least start, and get out there and mingle and come back when I want to come back and lay my head down and say, I'm glad to be home. But I understand exactly what you're talking about because that's the lifestyle that I'm looking to create and to make sure that I have that. And because I want to travel and experience culture, people, taste, all of those different things. So here you are an author, you are now traveling. How did you begin as with that author mind? Because that mind of once it's it's awake, everything becomes a wonderful opportunity, if you will. And as you're traveling, what opportunities? Because that's all that presents itself when you're on the road. How did you now begin to formulate some of those opportunities and begin to create a product by which someone can drink of some of your experiences as you're out um, traveling, if you will?
Hmm. Um, I when I'm traveling, I'm always in a very special creative mood or mindset. So I
Yeah.
started writing novels. The first books I did were kind of do-it-yourself books, right, and non-fictional. And now I have
Hmm.
published my first novel and working on my second. And the first one is all about traveling.
Yeah.
It's called Traveling with the Blues because
Hmm.
sometimes when you're traveling alone, the
Hmm.
traveling blues will show up. I made this traveling
Always.
blues a person. So in my novel, it's a person
Yeah.
who shows up once in a while and is always causing trouble, but in a funny way. So I gave
Yeah.
that book, or I dedicated that book to all people who are traveling alone and who sometimes are scared of starting again. I know all those feelings, right? Sometimes you
Hmm.
urge, I want to get back on the road, but then you think, "Ugh." And again, it's like that bringing up that starting energy to pack your bag
Yeah.
and go. That takes you need some energy for that. And so many people
Hmm.
wrote me emails or messages and told me, thank you for that book. It's so funny, and you exactly get it on the spot what the problems are. And then you
Yeah.
travel, and then if you're traveling for more than a holiday amount of time, like 2 weeks, things will happen. That's
Yeah.
normal. That's life. And people have to get used to that. So
Yes.
recently, I've been talking to my mechanic, who again helped me with the car, and he wanted to travel 2 weeks with me with his old car, but now nothing is working, and he's like,
Yeah.
okay, then we forget it, and I cannot. And I told him, stay cool. That is life. That's life. You If you don't make it now,
Yes.
stay cool. Breathe in, breathe out. And then you start in 2 weeks. I send
Yeah.
you my GPS data. You meet me somewhere on the road. Like, people need that
Mm-hmm.
to um, to stay
Yeah.
calm, um, especially if it's their
Yeah.
first trip, right? And I think traveling is such a present.
Yeah.
Yeah, we open our mind, we open our eyes. As you
Yeah.
said, we get open for other cultures and people and their stories. And that's so freaking wonderful.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
I, it is. It is a. It is one of the most powerful drugs on the planet. Once you get hooked on it, if you will, it will drive you. And calmness of mind is great advice in life. I think because the calmness, and when you are, it brings you in states. We live in states, I tell people, and based on our emotions, and we have to learn how to be quiet. And again, a place to learn that is meditation, where you are
Mhm.
not allowing all the crazy things that are happening on the outside to disturb you and to come and cause you to begin to speak in flowery language that they say that the sailors are pretty good at, and you find yourself cussing up a storm because you allow that situation to get inside and cause some disturbance within you. And meditation will keep that and keep your mind quiet. And you must be present at always. That's what meditation teaches you. So here
Hmm.
you are traveling. You're an author of 10 books in the midst of working on the 11th. And I know, guys, uh, let me put out a statement there. I usually send all of you guys out to that authors, those that her books are written in German. So those that are from Germany, because we do have people listening from Germany, get out there and buy her books, or those Germans across the world, buy her books, because inside of that houses much wisdom as to how to present oneself and to grow as an individual, so that you can get to learn who you are and love yourself at a deeper level. And I know she said there's a couple out there with English, so you guys get those too. But buy it and give it to your German friends. Let them want to know, wrap it beautifully and give it to them, and surprise them and tell them to read it, and then talk to you about it, so that you guys can have that beautiful conversation. So here you are now having this lifestyle where you are able to travel and by choice stay as long as you choose. With that freedom, and I know you had mentioned something about life happens. So that's why I'm bringing this question. With that, when life happens, when you're out there, talk to us about some of those stories, because it's out of those things, when life happens, that you get some of the most richest, deepest stories and encounters that you will ever have on this planet. So invite us to one of those, Romana, where you had something going on, and this angel walks into your life and begins a conversation and pulls you out of your state where you were losing it and bring you into this enchanted moment.
Hmm. Yeah, I have two stories I really love. One is when I was on my first long trip in 2015. I was really in that travel blues
Hmm.
mood. I didn't know what that is. I, I, I was
Yeah.
on the road for 7 days and asked myself, hey, now you have what you wanted and you sit there and you are sad and miserable. What's going on? And I was in France then and met a guy who was traveling alone also. And he was in the wheelchair
Hmm.
and he had fixed his camper
Wow.
to like, so he could do everything on his own. I thought that's, oh gosh, that's
Hmm.
wow. So, and he had one of those drones, the flying
Yeah.
thingies, right? And told me, and I had to ask because
Yeah.
technical
Uh-huh.
stuff always makes me like a kid, like what's that? What's that? And he said, I'm flying with that drone, and I'm flying along the beach and the seaside because I cannot go there with my wheelchair, but I can see now how it looks there
Yeah.
and how the waves
Wow.
are and everything. So we started a conversation and he invited me for a glass of wine in the evening. And then his wife arrived and she wanted to write a book.
Yeah.
So I could support her on how to get started. And
Nice.
within this evening, I told them how miserable I felt. And Stefan, that's his name, he just said,
Hmm.
oh, that's the traveling blues. Don't worry, he will go away in a few days. And I had, bam, that idea of the traveling
Wow.
blues. Right? So within the next weeks, that person came up in my
Yeah.
thoughts and created my first novel, which I
Yeah.
think is amazing. And I'm still in contact with those people. They are in Portugal right now and having a 4 month trip
Yeah.
together. So it's wow. And the other wonderful angel moment was when I was in Spain. That was good. That was in 2017 or 18, I think. And I had my dog already. I have a dog now, tiny Chihuahua dog who travels with me.
Hmm.
And somewhere in Spain, I met a pilgrim. You know the way to Santiago de Compostela, where many people like walk, is
Yes.
there. I was on that way and I met
Hmm.
the pilgrim from Germany and he had a large dog with him. They both were so exhausted. You could see it. And we began a conversation and yeah, he told me he's just in the middle of his breaking up and marriage is over and his husband wants to sell the house and
Yeah.
oh my god, disaster. And so I tried to yeah share some of my stories and how life will get better. It will just believe in it. And so I told him about my
Hmm.
traveling and traveling for weeks and months, and he got like hooked with that idea. So when he got back home and the whole divorce stuff was over, he bought the camper and he like built the interior. He built everything by himself. It looks wonderful. And even though he's
Wow.
not self-employed, he's still employed. He tries to spend as much time on the road as
Yeah.
possible, works from there. And with those virtual backgrounds, nobody knows where you are.
Yes. Uh-huh.
That's so wonderful.
That is, isn't it beautiful what
Yeah.
technology affords you to do?
Oh, yes. And
Yeah, that is,
so,
those are some
yeah,
beautiful stories, you
yeah.
know. Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, we are still in contact. And so
No, those
we
are beautiful
traveled,
stories.
yeah, we traveled to
Yeah,
Croatia once. And yeah, and now it's like a real deep friendship. So he has a new partner and he's
yeah,
happy again and I'm like, oh my god, I love life. It's wonderful.
yeah,
It's and he's traveling and I'm
yeah.
traveling and it's
Isn't
great.
it?
Mm.
Those are beautiful moments when you have those angel encounters, and they happen on the most unexpected time, but it's always at the right time because of where you are located and the need within you and the desire. And it was awesome how you were able to, from that conversation, you see the effect from interaction with people. And so that's the
Mhm.
beauty about as long as we are on this planet, there's that personal journey that each and every one of us must undertake. But then I always say to people, as much as we are independent, we are also interdependent. Those human connections of
Mm.
those stories that you mentioned and how we are able to exchange and we become friends and the energy exchange can form great friendship and some warmth and emotional uh, bonding there that is powerful. And I want to challenge you guys. I know COVID came, and many of you, I know of personally, my brother, he did this. He and his wife, they are in an RV traveling all over the place. And a lot of people disconnected from work and began to explore life, living. And COVID came and afforded many that opportunity to rethink how they're living. And there are many of folks that are on the highway, if you will, and in parks and so forth, uh, getting out there and venturing out. And I'm sure that Romana would love you guys to, get in contact with her. I'm going to provide all of her stuff. I want you to get in contact with her if you're thinking like that. If it sparks something in you and you're like, wait a minute, I have someone, guys, that has been doing it for a mighty long time and can give you some guidance. And she's also a coach. She can assist you with the mindset that is necessary for those type journey, man. You have to have it because you can, as she mentioned to you, that blues, she can introduce you and make you aware of the blues and how to manage it. And so I want to invite you guys to get in touch with her. Again, I'm going to provide everything that she is so that you guys can reach her. So here you are today. You are this world traveler, you're a speaker, you are an author, you're doing it. Life is beautiful. Where do you see yourself moving, that pull? Because I tell people when one is awake, there is this constant pull and tug, rest and pull, rest and pull, and that conversation. Where do you sense that pulling is taking you?
Ooh. I have something going on.
I love this. This is so beautiful.
Yeah. um,
We
a-
have something
as
going
you,
on.
yeah, as you mentioned, COVID. There are as many of my clients, especially women, uh, tell me that during the
Yeah.
COVID crisis, many, okay, let's say the social interaction changed completely, and many of them lost friends and got new
Yeah.
ones. But what was kind of really weird over here in Austria, we had that social distancing topic with very hard rules. So many people like
Hmm.
lost really touching, hugging each other, especially when you're living alone, right?
Yeah.
So I've been talking to some of
Yeah.
those women, and especially women my age, let's say 55 on.
Yeah.
They are, of course, a bit scared of
Yeah.
online dating, for example. They want a soul partner. They are looking for a soul
Hmm.
partner, but They can't imagine to do online dating. They are scared. They are afraid they meet awful guys there, right? And especially when they are looking
Yeah.
for their
Yeah.
soul partner, they are not sure what they are really looking for. So out of this need I see everywhere,
Yeah.
that lack of touches and lack of socializing and lack of trusting yourself. I want to start a program
Hmm.
for women, especially who are over 50, with all the topics that are there, beginning from menopause to what if my marriage breaks now? Is it possible to meet someone new? Many
Yeah.
of these women, they say, no, that's not possible. I don't trust myself. I'm not good looking. I'm not young. I'm not whatever. And
Yeah.
especially when it
Yeah.
comes to, for example, lately a client of mine, she told me, I met a younger man. I don't dare to date him. And I said, why? I mean, he's not 18,
Yeah.
is he? No, he isn't. No, he isn't. But the
Yeah. Yeah.
women have a complete different approach when it comes to age differences, right? So I just want to give them, no, not just, I want to give them a mindset which opens their mind, gives them the trust again. You are
Yeah.
beautiful. You are worth having a relationship. You don't have to like think about your age constantly. Just meet the person behind the age. What if age
Yeah.
wasn't a concept,
Yeah.
right? What if you meet a soul partner who might be 90 or 55 or 30, whatever? Don't think about that all the time, because as you said, if we think about age all the time, we are aging, right? The universe gives to
Hmm.
us what we
Yeah.
are asking for.
Yeah.
So that will be my next
Yeah.
program. And what really makes me so happy with that, I asked few people if they want to join me and work together, especially young
Hmm.
people. I want young people to be there and talk with those women about how is it to be 25? How is it to be 30? And I have a cameraman now who will do the
Yeah.
video shootings, and he's 22 and a real angel. And it's so much fun with that
Mm.
young energy. And he said, yeah, and you know what I could do? I could make
Yes.
photos of them where they really look brilliant. Because if you have a professional photographer, he makes
Hmm.
you look good. And
Yes.
oh gosh, I love that
Yeah.
project. I'm so excited. So that's my next where I'm heading to.
That is a powerful that is a powerful assignment that you have, because it's such needed. Everyone needs to understand their beauty and that they have something to offer in a relationship. But one cannot be, you need to be open in order to receive. And when one is closed, nothing will be sent because you're closed and you will not receive it. But if you are open, once one opens, then you are in a posture by which you are ready to receive. And so, what a beautiful assignment you have, a way by which you are able to serve. That is powerful. And all of you that are listening, and especially women that are in that feel that need, go ahead and start getting in contact with her, and she'll be able to deal with and work with you guys, and so that she can help you to open, so that you can receive. I'm telling you, it is a principle, that, and that is you emotionally have to become open and aware and all of these things. And when you do that, I have a guide that is able to guide you and help you so that you can get to that area where you stand there and be glamorous girl. So you can stand and own you and bring that energy into your life so that you guys can have a good life. Romana, this has been a beautiful conversation. I am honored that you visited, and I've talking to a fellow traveler, and I love what you're doing, and I'm about to start what you have been doing for a long time. So thank you so much for being here at Threads of Enlightenment.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.